for joining us today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, live from my classroom in San Mateo. I hope you can see me and hear me okay, but we are currently live with Gloria Garcia Stanley, and I'm so pleased to welcome her today. Here's how we're gonna do things today. This is episode 3 of the Mixed Race Women's Collective and Mixed Race Women Speak, and I'm really excited to welcome Gloria. Gloria is a woman, a wonderful woman that I have the pleasure of knowing through the arts community in the Bay Area, born and raised in San Jose. And thanks to Same Vote Theater Collective, special shout out to the Same Vote. I am so pleased to know of Gloria's story and share it with you today, live and straight from her. She is someone who lived life in embracing culture and later in life realized what her mixed race actually looked like and was all about, right? And so I'm so excited to welcome our first mixed race adopted woman and just see how, mixed race experiences look very different for everyone. Can you hear me and see me okay, Gloria?
Yes, can you hear me?
I just want to make Yes, great. Okay, good. I want to excuse in advance if you hear any background noise. It's because I've got students in another room that are, right after this live, I'm going to jump in there and we have our exhibition day. We're going to celebrate our first trimester before we go off to Thanksgiving break. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Womxn. I'm an educator, performing artist, actress, director, content creator, and that is how I know Gloria. We've acted together. She has been a wonderful actress in my, in a show that I've directed thanks to the Earthquake Theater Festival and Same Vote Theater Collective. And now I'm excited for you to see Gloria in living color. Please excuse our internet in advance. We might fuzz in and out, but we are here powered by Restream Studio on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at Amitsa M or Amitsa Mascati. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome you, Gloria. So tell us anything you want to say a little bit about yourself before I start asking you about your childhood and we take it through your life till present day. Go ahead.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. It's been a real journey since I moved back to San Jose. Since I moved back to San Jose, I've seen a huge amount of theater for Hispanic people, Latinx, and people of color, and a lot more than when I left San Jose. I left San Jose about 43 years ago to pursue my career in singing with my husband. And so we traveled the country and we were in Reno for about 30 years. And now I'm back here, and gosh, it just exploded with all kinds of opportunity for myself and to meet wonderful actors of all backgrounds and all groups, including you. And it's just been a real journey, and I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, and I want to say that, those of you watching, if you're a mixed race woman, thankfully, I'm excited. Gloria she's our newest member of our collective. We're excited to go on this journey together, discovering who we are and sharing our stories. So with that, I want to go right ahead to start off, with your childhood. You said you were born and raised in San Jose. So if you could just take us through a few minutes of actually, what was that like? And remember, I would love for you to highlight what you shared with me when we were, getting to know each other to prepare for this interview. What you knew about yourself culturally, or what you thought about yourself culturally, just your born and raised upbringing, before we get into, maybe even the teenage years too, as young as you can remember, some of your first memories.
I just remember being in a real average Mexican American family. I had my parents and my sister, my older sister, and I was a very gregarious child, always wanting to sing, always wanting to perform. And this always through my family, they're more reserved, more conservative, and they would rather be in the background and, you know, work hard and keep the family together. And I was always out there just, yay, you know, I'm ready to perform always. So that always kind of threw them for a loop because that was so different for them. So
For you, you're saying it was so different that you were there growing up, Mexican American family, and for you it was so different for them to see you as someone that was just ready to jump in and perform. Like you wanted to be, you had this creative side that maybe they didn't actually fully have or embrace, right? Is that what you're saying? Like you saw yourself as kind of different that way?
yeah, I did, you know, because it was like I was always wanting to be up in front and forward, and they were not. So I just thought, well, maybe they're just because they're parents. Maybe that's the way all parents are. They don't want to be out,
Oh yeah,
out in front, you know. I thought I was just being a gregarious kid, but you know, I found out later it was quite a very special reason why things were the way they were.
Oh, okay. So I want to hear more about that special reason soon. My first question then after that, you know, so that's a little bit your childhood growing up in San Jose. I guess my next question was, what was it like for you in that, you know, for you, what was it like for you growing up, you know, I want to know, like, where did you feel that you belonged or maybe not belonged, right? Like, where did you feel you belonged or not based on what you experienced in your particular, you know, scenarios, in your particular upbringing? You're a Mexican American woman in San Jose, a young girl going to public schools, Central San Jose. And what's going on in your life?
What is I was raised in a bilingual family, but I didn't speak Spanish, understand all the words. And sometimes there was a large part of my youth where I felt disconnected from my culture. And I was
what do you think in what ways did you feel disconnected from the Mexican culture growing up?
I just felt disconnected. I felt like I would have rather at the time connect with just a Caucasian WASP type connection. And I kind of pushed my culture aside. And, and you know, I mean, you know, the only time I kept the culture close to me was when I was eating their food or eating the food of my culture or something like that.
You're like, I'm all about, like, what's your favorite food? You're all about the Mexican food, right? What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite food?
Yeah, tamales and enchiladas, you know, Southwestern.
So you're like, bring me the tamales and enchiladas. But then when it came to actually interacting with other Mexican Americans in school, what did you feel like when you would? What did you feel like? Because this is currently what you're thinking your entire culture is. You're like, I'm Mexican, but what?
Yeah. It was funny because I did have bullies, and most of them were the Hispanic kids, you know, the Chicano kids. And so I didn't understand. It was probably, maybe I wasn't Mexican enough for them. I always wanted to write a book called Not Mexican Enough. But so maybe, you know, I was really academic and very creative, and I didn't fit in their kind of world, but I didn't fit in the other world either. So I was kind of straddling both cultures, you know. And I just kind of did my own, really didn't belong anywhere. I just kind of, I guess that's why I got used to kind of doing things on own and without anybody kind of tagging along. So yeah. So
I'm hearing you say that, like, you found that in that upbringing that basically you were looking for your place, right? You were looking for your place growing up, like, maybe, I guess I'm Mexican, let me hang out with these folks, but you felt at the same time, like, even though you were raised to be this Mexican young lady, you're hanging out with other Mexican people, right? Young students, and you found yourself being, what was this, what you're saying, middle school? or high school or something, or
This
what?
is high school. And then college, I kind of started hanging around with more Hispanic people, and it started. I started joining, some Chicano groups and things like that. I thought, well, maybe I should kind of get in touch with that part of myself,
Because
and
you're
become a
thinking,
little bit connected.
yeah, because you're like saying things like, oh, well, maybe I wasn't Mexican enough for them, and that can be kind of hurtful, right? And that can feel sad. I
Oh, yeah.
definitely know growing up for myself, Puerto Rican and Indian. I myself looked for times. That's just something that you spoke to, that we all as human beings deal with what it feels like to be enough. It's something in our human programming, how we think about ourselves, but especially sometimes being raised with that sense of like, where do I fit in culturally? And it sounds like even though you were like, I'm Mexican at this point, this is what you're like, well, I'm Mexican. Even then, it sounds like you felt like there were, well, maybe not quite, or there was something that you didn't feel embraced in that culture. And as someone like Puerto Rican and Indian, I know that there's times that when I've been with other Puerto Ricans or with other Indians or other cultures, that it doesn't always feel like it's something I dealt with at first. I felt like I was looking for acceptance and belonging too, right? And so thanks for sharing a little bit about your childhood and belonging. So, it sounds like that some of the cultural things didn't always jive for you. But where did you find home? Where did you feel like you could belong? Like what through high school and college, where did you feel like you found your people?
Well, I think I belonged in theater and the arts, music, singing. That's where I started to express more things and express, myself through performance. And so, yeah, so that's the thing that always kind of held me together. No matter what happened, I always had music and singing and drama to hang on to and keep me going. So yeah.
Isn't that so beautiful that it's like, we're in theater, it's like you feel like you found a home, right?
Yes, exactly.
And I think, I think what's so interesting is that you're not the only one. I think regardless of race and ethnicity, there's so many of us that participate in theater that feel like it's a homey place when you're on stage or you're with other casts. What do you think? What do you think it was for you about theater and about, Gloria is not just an actress, but an amazing professional singer, right? And just being with the arts. Like, what do you think about that has felt like? How did that help you feel a sense of belonging?
Well, I think theater, when I'm backstage and waiting to come on stage for my role, I'm not a religious person, but I think that's the closest thing to spirituality and religion I can say I feel, is that backstage and that sense of unity and that sense of family. It's a very sacred place. It's a very sacred moment to be able to impart this creativity to other people and to share it and to bring them into your story. That was that just has always been an anchor for me. So and then when I came to San Jose, I saw that there was so much theater that was for people of color. There was Filipino theater. There was Vietnamese theater. There's Latino theater. And it just exploded. It must have happened while I was gone, and when I came back, I saw that. I was so happy to see that there's so much different theater and so much culture. East Indian as well. So much different experiences that people can really hang on to their culture through theater, and a beautiful thing.
That is. And it sounds like, and in that theater, in that theater, we fall in love. I think we fall in love with ourselves. We fall in love with people. We fall in love with people's stories. And it sounds like you also, through the performing arts, perhaps fell in love. And so if you want to speak a little bit to your partnership, and what happened next, I just want to let you know and give a quick shout out to Josie Dillon, who's watching, and asked, where did she fit in? And I want to hear and she looks like she's asking, she knows that you are attracted to Linda Ronstadt, and who's very Latina, and you did a tribute to her. So is there anything you want to say to that before you continue telling us your story?
Yes, Josie's a very, very, very special friend of mine. We actually went to the same high school, but we didn't know each other then. So we've connected these past maybe 4 years on Facebook.
Nice.
She has really helped me in my journey. And she's a very, very special, she's a Reiki master and teacher. She's a shaman. She's amazing. And she's also Latinx, so we have that together as well. So I feel like she's a soul sister.
That is so exciting.
Thank you for
she's
being here. Thank you.
Yeah, she's here watching, and she's again, just like Josie, anyone else who has a question for Gloria or curiosity, we're getting to the part where in your story, right, where we see, oh, okay, we see that there is now we were talking about finding love. So what's next? What did you see next for yourself? So you're
what do I see next for at this moment?
Yeah. Well, no, back then in our story, so you were talking about college, right? I think, and then it sounds like I know at this point you're still, let me back it up and say, at this point you are still identifying as a Mexican American woman, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so you go on this journey. It sounds like you ended up, what did you study and what did you choose to do professionally? Can you share a little bit about that and your relationship too?
Well, I met my husband in Los Gatos, and we were both in the day job. And we met, fell in love. We started rehearsing, and we'd worked as a duo all over the Midwest, and ended up in Reno for about 30 years. Yeah. So that was my professional.
You lived in Reno for a while. Sounds like you were all over the country and landed up in Reno first.
Yes. Yeah.
What was your favorite part of the whole? How long would you say that experience was? What was your favorite part?
Oh, I loved it when we went traveling. I love that. Just traveled for 2 to 3 years. We traveled all over, and I really love that. So he's my best friend, and he's my my husband and my best friend. So I'm very fortunate that we have such a solid relationship and friendship as well. Marriage. We're going to celebrate 40 years next year. So
40 years?
Yeah.
That is like I want to send lots of love and excitement for that, because I know there's so many of us watching right now, right? That anyone seeing this, just that sounds like that's the dream that we wish and we hope and we love for, that. And it sounds like, a lot of times our belonging and our sense of love and acceptance, right? We create that with our partners. And it sounds like, that being said, you actually have a very special partner that played a major part in kind of co-creating your discovery, right? Supporting this discovery for yourself of your identity. So we've been chatting for a few minutes. We're getting to know you growing up. You're going through your 20s and 30s. You're a Mexican American performer, a singer. And then there's this moment, right? You mentioned to me when we chatted that there's this moment where you discovered something, right? That then set up, the trajectory. In the last 5 years, something very much magical has shifted for you, right? So can you tell us about that moment? What was that moment?
Absolutely. Yeah, when I have to kind of go back. When I was 46, I was visiting an aunt and my uncle with my father and my sister and my husband and my son. We were visiting, and she started talking about her career as a foster parent. So she was fostering children for many, many years. So she's telling me all about this story, and then all of the blue, she says, "Oh, we adopted our daughter, Paulette, after you were adopted." And that was the big thing that opened up the big aha moment. What's the deal? So,
oh my gosh, you were like, wait, when I was what?
Yeah, I was like, what? And she says, "Oh, you didn't know?" And I said, "No, I didn't." And then she felt a little bit sad, because she thought she had created a problem, and I don't think she did. She really opened up a lot of doors for me by that comment. And my father didn't want me to know. And my mom had passed away some years ago, but he didn't want me to know. So he was kind of upset about that whole thing, but I wasn't upset. I said to them, well, I still love you. You're still my dad, and you're still my sister and my cousins and everybody. You're still family. So I'm not going to, you know, be angry about it.
Right.
So after that day, we went to the Children's Home Society to request records. And we got the adoption records about a month later. And that's when I started my journey to find my biological family.
Wow. So you found out, at 46 years old, right? You found out like that you were adopted, right?
Yes.
And so what was that? I mean, so what did that, thank you so much for sharing that, because I'm sure there's people in the world, and while I cannot personally relate to that, that is a big part, that is a huge identity thing that people deal with in the world. So what was it like for you? Like what was that like for you? Like in that moment, what did you decide when you're like, well, I'm adopted?
It was a very surrealistic moment, because I felt like if there had been a movie moment, it would have been the zooming forward and going backwards kind of effect. I felt like there was tunnel vision. I had some actual physical reactions to it. It was kind of creepy, because when we were in a hotel and I was looking in the mirror, and all of a sudden I didn't know who I looked like. It was like I had no identity. All this time I thought I had looked like my adopted father or his side of the family. But when I looked in the mirror, I was like, who am I? And it was like a huge question. I felt like my face didn't look like anybody else's. So who am I? So I really, really had to find out that my family and my background and all of that. And my husband, bless his heart, he's he loves doing genealogy as a hobby. So he was on board with me to find my family.
He was on board with you to find your family. So, okay, wow. So this moment happened. You're like, who am I? You ask yourself, you look at yourself in the mirror, who am I? So now you started this journey, right? So you're adopted. So what does your journey look like to, to discover your identity, which leads us to, discovering your mixed race identity, right? And embracing it and expressing it. So what happened next? I want to know. I think people watching too want to know what happened next.
Well, we looked at all kinds of records, ancestry.com, and we looked at all kinds of things, because based on what we had found in the report, the adoption report, I had my mom's signature on the adoption paper.
Yeah.
And it said Virginia B. Garcia. So we had her name, and I had my birth father's last name, which was Rodriguez. So we had that information. We knew that my mom was from New Mexico. And we knew that she came from a large family. So
and that was found on ancestry.com. That was all on ancestry.com. You found out, like, my mom is from New Mexico, and it has this huge family. That's what you found, that she was currently.
Yeah, this particular information was on the adoption records. They didn't give names, but they gave information about, you have grandparents, and you have a family that came from this part,
right.
wherever. So based on this very, very sketchy information, my husband was looking and looking. But the thing that really, 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 really opened it was about 7, 8 years ago. I was living in Reno. And we were on the verge of finding them, because my husband had found a family that was through the census. He had found a family that had like 13 kids in a little town in New Mexico. And, he saw Virginia. He wasn't sure if it was my mom. But anyway, I went to have my DNA tested. And this was for a test in Reno that 23andMe and the local hospital were doing. They partnered. They wanted to find out some demographic information about residents of Northern Nevada. And they wanted 10,000 volunteers. And I volunteered mainly to find out if I had any kind of like if ever I was a carrier of any kind of illnesses or anything like that.
Right. You were like, let me just check out, get to know myself better, right? Like,
Right,
so.
right. So I did the DNA test, and it came about 4 months later. Um, I got an email, and it said, "Here's your DNA, and uh, you have a DNA relative," and they'll tell you that as long as the relative puts it in their record that they are available. They can put their name or they cannot put their name, but they said you have a DNA relative, and it's a cousin. Okay, so I was like, I have a DNA relative, and then I found out that I'm 46% Native American. And all this time I thought I was Mexican all the way through. 46% Native American, almost 24% uh, Portuguese and Spaniard. And then the rest, really weird, English, Irish, Danish. So I'm very, very complicated. So anyway.
uh, and here's the thing. I get it. I get it. You definitely woke up to mixed race land, because to be able to look at your background and go and say, wait, I'm very complicated, consider that is something that, when society looks at defining and putting people in boxes, right? A lot of times to be able to say, well, I'm not just Black, I'm not just white, I'm not just Mexican, I'm not this, but like I have all these races in this ethnic makeup. It's a mixed race thing that sometimes people do. We go,
totally.
oh my goodness, this is so complicated. Like, who am I? And how am I defined, right? And I just want to thank you for sharing this. And I want to shout out those watching that are, that are following along in the story. Daniela Mandico, a Puerto Rican Italian woman I spoke with last week, is hearing your story and saying, wow, what a sudden identity shift, right? For you.
Yeah.
Can you share this identity shift? You find out you're 46%, you're Native American, right? Tell us about that identity. That's a huge percentage. And not to neglect the other ones too, but so what was that like? You're like, what did you think? Right? We've got some wow.
I was so excited about it.
Yeah.
I was so excited about it. When I lived in Reno, I did create jewelry, Native American jewelry, and I would go to the powwows that did not require you to have your tribal number. So I would go there, but I went there under the feeling at that time that I was part Comanche or Tiwa Indian, because that's something I had heard from my family. But when I found out from my DNA that I was 46%, that's huge. I always thought maybe I was an eighth, quarter, something like that. 46%. And then I found out I was Portuguese too. So that was a surprise. That's from my biological dad. My Portuguese people they started in the Azores. So that's pretty cool too. So what I found when I finally found I found my biological family through that relative that was on the DNA list. They said he was a cousin. It turned out he's a nephew.
Wait, so now you're like, first of all, rewind 5 years ago, right? You're like, I'm 46 years old. I'm adopted. I am 46% indigenous. I have this native blood, right? And I have a cousin. And you're realizing you have this whole biological family that's actually, it's a nephew. My good. Okay, so now what happens? This is like this story evolves, and I just want to let you know, and because we really appreciate those that are watching with you that are saying, wow, and this and that. Josie saying, aren't we all complicated, right? We've all got a story, and it's so interesting, Gloria. Thank you for sharing this with us. So please continue. So now what?
Well, that night, and this was I think this is about 4 or 5 years ago. So that night, my husband confirmed that relative was my nephew, because my husband found the birth record of my sister, and her mother was my mother. my half sister, and that confirmed that person that we had been following along really was my mother. So I contacted them by email. I contacted my nephew,
And so
Travis, and I said, I
where
gave him a little short
is
story.
Travis?
I introduced myself, told him the circumstances
He's
under
in
which I was talking to him.
New Mexico. He was in New
And
Mexico. You're in California, and he's in New Mexico at the time.
yeah, in California. Yeah.
He's in
So,
California or New Mexico. Where was he?
no. My nephew, they live in the Bay Area.
Oh, wow. So he was
Yeah,
in
they
the
live
Bay
in the Bay
Area.
Area.
You were in the Bay Area, and so was he.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Gloria! This whole time you're like, I have a nephew. You're living your life. You're deck. How long have you been living in the Bay Area at the point when you find out you have a nephew in the Bay Area?
Well, actually, when we discovered each other, I was still living in Reno. So
Oh,
I came back
okay.
to San Jose about 3 years ago.
Oh wow. Okay, so you were in Reno and you're like, but you're from San Jose. So
Yeah.
how long did you find out you have a nephew? Did you find out how long you were living in the Bay Area and so was he? How long?
Oh, yeah. My whole family, they've all lived in the Bay Area since the 40s or 50s.
For over 50 years, right? For over 50
Yeah. Yeah.
your biological family. You're talking about your biological
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. I have cousins here. Yeah. Aunts and uncles. Yeah. Almost all of them moved to the Bay Area.
Oh gosh. Okay, so now you're like, I have a nephew, right?
Yeah.
Joy
So
discovered she was adopted. She's 46% indigenous. You have Spanish blood, Portuguese blood, right? And you have a biological family in the Bay Area for over 50 years. So now what?
so I contact my nephew. He contacts me back. And then that night I get a phone call from my sister, Gina. We
Mhm.
talk for almost an hour. She tells me all about our mom. And she says, "Oh, by the way, I want to tell you." Well, she says, "What do you do?" And "What do you do for a living?" At that time, I was still performing singing. I said, "I've been a singer for almost 40 years, a professional singer." "Oh, really?" As a matter of fact, our mom used to sing on the radio in the 50s when she was a
Oh my
teenager.
gosh. I'm getting
And
chills.
that answered so many things, because it was like, I always wondered where I got my singing gene from, where that where that talent to sing came from. It comes from my mom.
And your mom, in fact, was a mixed race woman. Is that correct? Right? Did she, or what?
Yes.
What
Yeah,
do we
she's part
learn?
the
Yeah.
same race that I am. The Tarahumara. Yeah, the Tarahumara from
Wow.
Mexico. Yeah, that's from her
Oh,
dad.
from her dad. And then her Tarahumara from her dad. And then oh my goodness. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So
her
now,
dad, my
mhm.
grandfather was actually born in the Sierra Madre Mountains in a cave, because he was from that group, the Tarahumara.
Oh my gosh. This is just so many levels of like the cultural groups, racial groups. So now what? So now you find out you've discovered you have your mixed race to biological mom, right? Like she's Tarahumara native, right? Would you call it? And Tarahumara native, like Tarahumara, how would you say the Tarahumara? She's from the Tarahumara tribe, right?
Yeah, they also call themselves Raramuri.
Okay.
Raramuri, that's what they call themselves.
And where is she living at this point? And she's a singer like you. She's living where?
Yeah, my mom at that time, when I called my sister, and then I also talked to my brother, and then I talked to my older sister, who she's my full-blooded sister, because we have the same dad, same mom and dad. I met them all that evening on the phone, and it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing. We were all crying, and it was just amazing. So then they tell me, well, we want to meet you in person, which is amazing, because when you're adopted, sometimes things go south. Sometimes the family doesn't want to meet you. But in this case, they did.
Oh
And
my
they said, we want to meet you. So the following week, I went and I met my mother, and it was amazing. She was this beautiful little lady with curly hair. I always wondered where my son got his curly hair from. Curly hair, beautiful skin, beautiful light. All my family was around, my siblings and their kids, and my stepdad, bless his heart, John Zahersky was there as well. And when she met me and I said who I was, she fainted. She was sitting on the couch and she fainted.
Ay, Dios
It's like
mío.
she's like that. And I look at my sister, what's wrong? She says she fainted. I went, oh no. And she wakes up and I tell her, Mama, this really is me. I'm Gloria. I'm your daughter. And she faints again. Her health was very frail. So
Oh my God.
now wait a moment. And then she wakes up and then she looks at me and big hug, and we're crying and everybody else is crying in the room. And it was just so amazing. I can't even describe. It still gets me. Every time I tell the story, it still gets to me, and people are kind of taken away by the story too.
Yeah. You're revealing your identity to your mixed race biological mother that you found out. You're like, I know who you are. And now here's who I am. Yeah, I'm Gloria, right? I'm your daughter. Oh man. Wow. So what was that you've shared? Thank you for sharing so generously about what that was like for you and your family, right? And that moment in your defining your life, and to think again at 46 years old, right? This is like, what was that like? It sounds like magical. Like what has the last 5 years been like now that you've known I'm not just Mexican American, I love my adoptive parents, but I'm also this biological family with this beautiful, rich culture, Tarahumara. Tell us what other races you found, and what has the last 5 years been like? What have you been doing to embrace it? All of that.
Well, it's really, really, really neat. Now I have a heritage I can really embrace. I can really I'm very interested in the Portuguese side of my heritage as well. I actually have a cousin, I think she's third or fourth cousin, living out in Virginia somewhere. She's Portuguese. She's part of the same family. And she looks a lot like me. It's so funny. She's a young woman. She looks a lot like me.
That's so amazing. And I really love that you said, now I have a heritage I can really embrace. Not that you couldn't embrace the American heritage before, but there's this richness. That is the beauty of, having multiple races and cultures. Do you know where in Portugal that your family is from? It sounds like it's from your from your biological dad's side. Is that accurate? That you're Portuguese? So do you know anything, have you discovered anything about the Portuguese side as well as more about the indigenous side?
Yes, they're actually from the Azores.
Okay.
And there's all these little series of islands, and I can't pronounce it. It's like Faro or something like that. It's one of the islands. And so my great grandmother was from there, and there's a picture of her. My husband says she looks like me. So I'm really interested in them. I want to go and see that island. I want to see my cousins out in Virginia. I've communicated with them. I want to know more about my biological dad. But my biological family, my mom, it's a huge family. I have a zillion cousins now in San Jose. Huge family. Because she came from a family of 13, and she was the third oldest. So 13 and aunts and uncles of various kinds, and they all had kids. So I have a ton of cousins, and it's beautiful to know I have such a big family, and I'm really happy for my son too, because he has more family to to talk to and to get to know. And I'm
Right.
really excited about that.
I mean, that's remarkable, right? What does it feel like to have had your family expand in this range of cultures and everything? Like, what is that like for you, and how has that impacted you now in your life and your family? Can you share a little about that,
Well,
and your partner, right?
it really does answer a lot of questions. My mother, she was an artistic person and a singer. And I got to tell you a really cool story. That
Okay.
day that we met, my sister said to her, Mom, Gloria's a singer too. And she loves Linda Ronstadt too. She says, Oh, yeah, I love Linda
What?
Ronstadt. And she said, Would you guys sing a song? And my mom, she starts naming off different Mexican songs. Finally, she lands on one that we both know, and it's called Cuckoo Cuckoo Paloma. So we start singing it, and I tell her, well, why don't you take the melody? Because you know, a lot of times people don't know how to harmonize right off the bat. And she said, no, you sing the harmony, you sing the melody. So I pick a key that I think is comfortable for us. So I start singing cuckoo cuckoo. She sings with me right on time, a harmony part, like she's heard it all her life.
Oh my goodness.
So she has a good ear for harmony, which I also do. So it's like she just jumps right in and we start singing. And she does have a problem with breathing because she's got some COPD, but she
Okay.
takes some nice deep breath and she's singing along with me. And it was as if we had been singing all our life together.
That is so magical and so beautiful for sharing. And I'm so grateful and honored that you are sharing this, because I can hear and see, and folks in the comments too, I want to share that this is such a beautiful, vulnerable, defining moment of your life, where the woman who gave life to you, right? you know, uh, thanks to her and your biological father, you have discovered your Tarahumara native, Portuguese, Spaniard, Dutch, Irish, English roots, and all this time you've been raised Mexican, and now you find even more so that you have this who knows? I mean, I'm not a DNA or genetic scientist, but it's almost like it was in your genes and in your blood that you have this love for art and singing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you passed down, or was passed down to you. And just want to let you know, the folks that are also sharing love with you, Daniela is saying, this is amazing, finding out your adopted new identity and meeting family. It's a whole new chapter of life in a totally new book. Would you say, would
Wow.
you have to say about that?
Thank you. That's really sweet.
Yeah, it's
It's
fantastic.
really sweet.
And Josie also agreed. She got chills right along with me. We felt it too as you're sharing powerfully your story. She can't imagine that and we see you as such a deep and powerful soul, Gloria, right? And given that, I think what's so beautiful, I do want to highlight, after really sharing this story where you've come to now embrace and express your identity, I know, that you have actually been up to things as an artist, as a performing artist, as a singer, that to really honor this discovery of your biological family, discovering you're adopted, and how your life has shifted and pivoted powerfully, but also like your connection to your mixed race, right? And I know that as an artist, you have created things. So, as we are kind of now, let's update to like these last 5 years in present day. What have you done? Have you created things to honor this? What else are you doing to, embrace your culture or anything? Or what questions do you have for people that are mixed race like you, or cultures? Where are you at now with this?
Well, I've been very fortunate that through Same Boat Collective, I've been able to perform as a indigenous spirit woman. That
Yeah.
was really a really special moment, and I've been doing a lot more roles where I'm playing, um, um, Hispanic or Latinx women, moms, grandmothers, and I'm I'm really embracing it where I'm telling people, I'm telling casting directors what I do. I have another possible role coming up, which is a voiceover, which is for an Indigenous woman as well. So
Ah,
I'm waiting to hear from a casting director about that. And so it seems like once this opened up, this identity opened up and this connection opened up, all these opportunities started coming and I embraced them. I wasn't trying to be somebody I was not. So now I can say I am Indigenous, I'm Native American, I'm, part Portuguese, Spanish, Mexican, all these other things. And it's just a wonderful thing. And now I have a legacy, whereas before I was just kind of floating. I really didn't know who I was. And I think age has something to do with it too. I'm actually embracing age. I didn't think I
mm,
was going to, but it seems like once I turned 50, things started opening up there too. So I think I always used to think that my time would be in my 30s, but I think my time is now. And I'm writing it as much as I can. So there it is.
Gloria. My goodness. If there was ever a thing to say, I'm so moved and feel so blessed. And literally, because it is so beautiful that in life, that if that message, that it's so powerful what you just said about, you said, my time is now, right? It's really never too late to do what you want to do, be who you want to be, embrace your identity. And what you said was so beautiful. Once this identity opened up, all these opportunities started coming and I embraced them. And you said, I wasn't trying to be someone, right? I'm not, right? What you saw yourself being is that you were like, well, who am I? Right? I'm going to be myself, right? And
Yeah.
discover who that is and create it. And that's so, so, so lovely. And it's really awesome to see that it's like now, it's really great how things have pivoted and shifted for you. You've opened up, right? The opportunity to like be Indigenous and be seen as that, right? And just like we said, Same Boat Theater Collective, you're able to perform as an Indigenous woman and you're just embracing all these other new shades and colors to your
Yeah.
story. And to that point, I am excited. It looks like we have, maybe we'll even take a request here because I see that Josie's saying, watching Gloria's acting skills expand has been a wonderful privilege. And it sounds like we also really love that great song that you shared. And since you are a performing artist, right? An actress, a singer, anything else, given that you're here to embrace this culture, right? This culture, this experience and your mixed race identity, Indigenous, and continue to sing and be love in the world. What have you created? I know we mentioned yesterday you have created some things, right? So is there anything you want to share with us so get the people watching get to know you about
Oh,
what you're
sure.
creating and what you're up to as in your profession and in who you are in the world now that you are really embracing yourself, right? And you said so well, your legacy, right? This is your legacy.
Well, this summer we completed a short film, my husband and I, and my son, and a couple of other dear friends. And it was loosely based on my story or my mom's story. Of course, with film, you have to kind of bring in some tension into the story. I
Right.
didn't have this kind of tension with my mom when I met her, but my
Yeah.
film does. So the name of the film is DNA Don't Lie. And we sent it to Global Shorts Film Festival this summer. And we got an award for a special mention. And that was really, really nice to do that, to get that. And that we even made it into a film festival was pretty awesome. So
I
yeah, it can be seen on YouTube, and I believe that you have the link to that if you wanted to look at it.
Yeah.
But
And so this
it's,
is
yeah, loosely based,
this
and
is
there is a little
on your
short moment there.
discovering your mom, right? On reconnecting
Yeah,
with your biological family, right?
yeah. The story is actually the mom whom I play. she doesn't want to, she's afraid of meeting her daughter. She doesn't even want anybody to know that she surrendered her daughter to adoption until her son finds the daughter, and then there is a reunion. And then at the end, we have a little clip where it's actually
Wow.
a video clip of my actual mom and myself singing that day that we met.
Oh my goodness. Guess what? You're living your legacy, and given that you made an award-winning short film, right? DNA Don't Lie, loosely based on reuniting with your biological mom, I want to give a special treat to those folks that have been watching and tuning in this whole time. It looks like we actually have an opportunity to play this. I'm gonna see what I can do. You at the end of the film, did you actually have real footage of you with your mom at the end of the film?
Yes.
Is that what you included?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I am excited and honored to present, and I hope, can you give me a thumbs up, Gloria, if you can hear the audio? But I want to share that last minute or so of the film to show folks what it looks like. DNA Don't Lie. And it's so timely. Let's see if we can get it up on the screen. It's so timely that DNA Don't Lie actually connects to what we're talking about, right? About this discovery in your life based on your real life here. So let's see. Do you see it? I want to bring it up since we have just a few minutes left chatting. Those of you still tuning in to the very end, you get a chance to see this. Okay. Can you let's see if we can share the screen. Alrighty, it's coming up. Now I'll be able to share it. Can you? Oh, we're bringing it on the screen. In a spotlight.
That's the very last scene, and then right after that is going to be my mom and I singing.
Okay, so
like
this is
about 15:22.
Okay, great. So we see this part here, and we are going to press play.
Paloma, no llores, ay, 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 Paloma, que vas a saber de amores.
San Francisco. I'm Gloria Garcia family. Oh my goodness. Can you tell us a little bit about that? That was the moment you just described to us, that you had that live. Did you film that live?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Gloria. If that is ever a privilege to watch you live with your biological mother, how do you feel watching that and seeing that again?
I still get teary. I've got,
I'm there
I
right
still get teary-eyed.
Wow. Gloria. Yes. Is there, I just want to say once again, thank you so much for those watching. I know Gloria, I've probably known Gloria for about 5 months. Then we had a chance to act together in Same Boat Theater Collective in the Emeryville Horror, representing Latinas and Indigenous folks. And and just to be able to work with you again, representing you, as a Latina as well, representing cultures is so beautiful. And I'm so honored that you've enriched us today, this morning on Friday Vibes, and this Mixed Race Women Speak as the 3rd episode, as someone really sharing your most vulnerable parts of you in this special moment in your life that's really set off this new chapter for you, right? And to get a chance to meet your mom and get to discover more of your culture, your heritage, you embrace, your identity. I'm so thrilled and I'm really honored. So I want to thank you. And I know that there's people that are watching as well, chills and tears. Thank you, Gloria. Right? It's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous to see that. And finally, you know, if people are going to watch this and are watching this and love you, people who already know you and love you, get to know you better. Those who are getting to know you now really see you for all these shades and colors. I've mentioned like a prism, mixed race women especially, but we're all like a prism, right? Of who we are with different lights we reflect. And so as you continue to honor your indigenous side, your Portuguese side, your Spanish side, your English side, your Dutch side, your Tarahumara side, right? All the sides of your identity. I wonder, you know, I wonder where can we follow you and keep up with you in the world? We know DNA don't lie. You saw it, a clip on YouTube. What else can we do? Do you have a website, something that you can share?
Yes, it's Gloria Garcia Stanley.com. So
Okay.
that's where I put all my information regarding career.
Gloria Garcia Stanley or Gloria Stanley? Which one is it?
GloriaStanley.com.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm going to share that right up here too. So if you want to follow and see what Gloria is up to as she continues to share her journey, like we said, you know, Tarahumara native, Portuguese, Spaniard, Dutch, Irish, English roots. After being raised Mexican, she's this lovely woman, Gloria Stanley, is your career stuff. Anything else you want to share?
I just want to say thank you for having me today to share this experience with you. It's really great that we work together, and I hope we get to work together some more, you know, be it live or be it via Zoom.
Yes.
And I'm really proud of you for doing this series. And I'm going to continue supporting your series and your work, and follow you as well. And so you're a very special lady. I admire all your work. And that you're a teacher, and that you have such a love for your culture and your heritage, and that you're encouraging all of us and women of color and all these different, like you say, a prism. I really am proud of you for doing that. And you know, this is the year where, as we know, politically and spiritually, that this is a year that for so many women of different of mixed race and mixed cultures, that our voices are heard. So I think that's so important and so timely.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Beautifully said. I couldn't have said it better myself. And so much love. And with that, everyone, I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you, Gloria Garcia Stanley, for making it possible for our third episode of this Mixed Race Women Speak. And again, if you are interested, you are a mixed race woman, or you are a mixed race woman, or you know a mixed race woman. And I know we have some mixed race women, or people that want to learn more. If you want to learn more about the mixed race woman experience, but you're not a mixed race woman, continue to watch here on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter at Amitsa Mascati. And if you are a mixed race woman, please follow right here. You can join, you can request to join the Mixed Race Women Collective. And the hope is that you too, just like Gloria, just like Therese, just like Daniela, and many soon more to come, we'll get to know a little bit about you. You answer some membership questions, and then you'll become part of our group and family that we are here honoring, amplifying our voices, honoring who we are, whatever it looks like. And I'm really excited. And Gloria, I hope you'll stay tuned and join in for future episodes as we continue to honor these women. And if you're watching and you're joining our collective, you could be next to be featured too. So all my love and all the best. And the next time I see you all in this setting, it will be Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. So I want to give everyone, what better way? We're speaking about the indigenous cultures and native cultures. We celebrate Thanksgiving, and it's about bringing those colonial cultures to indigenous cultures and having peace and harmony. So I want to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving, and to you too, Gloria. And
thank you. Same to you, everybody out there.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody. We'll be in touch soon, and stay tuned, drop comments, live, love, share this, join our collective, and see you all soon. Bye.